And we're live, back with Hal Gill, your host. And it's another day in the bonus round, 21st of July, 2025. Wings of Desire theme. If you don't know the movie, check it out. Ben Menders directs. Observers, not participating, stepping back and observing. That's what it's all about. Somebody's sideways. There we go. He's moved. Traffic can move. And we can walk. I had an effect, an impact. Things are slightly different than they would have been otherwise. My having fared forth as soon as the light was available, it causes a little ripple effect in the universe. I was talking to my former barber, Carl Cimini, who's also a filmmaker. He used to advertise haircutting and talking on South Drake Street in Pittsburgh. Well, Carl and I were talking about action, getting out on the street, and being in the arena, as opposed to being in cyberspace where we are just watching, reading, looking, seeing, observing. I don't know. I just know how things seem to me. And I could be wrong. So I try to stay in that mindset of radical agnosticism. Might write a book with that title later, or at least a post on Substack. I probably put it behind the paywall. I need to start putting stuff behind the paywall so I can encourage people to actually, pony up a little bit of that energy that is money so I can keep doing it and have the freedom, looking back, some of our literary giants. You have a fellow named Charles Bukowski wrote a novel called Post Office. He was writing poetry, and you can read a lot of that. What matters is how well you walk through fire. I don't know if I got the title quite right, but close to it. Anyway, somebody recognized that he was a creative worthy of support, and they supported him. We can do that on Substack for each other. I did it a bit, If I see somebody whose voice I think needs amplification, I'll go ahead and subscribe at one of the paid levels. Give them the annual. It's not that much. And we can be the change we want to see in the world, divest from mainstream media. It's filling your head with propaganda. Because nobody ever prints anything without an axe to grind. Nobody ever does much of anything without an axe to grind, just freely giving. That's kind of rare in our species. Although, we've been told many times before, Messiah is pointed to the door and no one had the guts to leave the temple. I'm talking about I'm Free, song by Pete Townsend, figures in Tommy. I was struck today by one of the posts that I've, pick up off of Facebook and then plunk over here in a note in Substack land. And in it, there was apparently a woman or a devotee, a Baba lover, who told Baba that she wanted to be his fiancée but never marry, forever, be his betrothed. And he, in his silence, eventually reached into his pocket and gave her a scarab ring that she never took off. And she called herself Thomas's fiancée because apparently Mayor Baba played as being a little boy named Thomas. And I did not know that. But I bet that's where Pete Townsend picked up the idea for Tommy, because we do know that Pete is a Baba lover. And as such, everything he does is part of that devotion, that work. For Vardagar, if you don't know that one, it's not surprising. It's not something that people really gravitate to. But here's what it is. Heading over to the bakery. I'm taking a little oblique turn here down 20th Street. Thought I'd swing by. I think I see Joan Shapiro, perhaps making her way there. And I have so many people I know well. I'm on my second day of absenting myself. The people talk about practicing the presence, right? You can also practice absence. In fact, I am absent from so many places, physically speaking, but present so many others. And that's kind of the nature of it now that we have these instruments for telecommunications. I was talking about Pete Townsend and the Who. I'm going to see them on August 21st, if all goes well, in Philadelphia. I've got myself a front row seat in section 3, seat 3, I think. I should be at Pete's feet. His lotus feet. I'm sure he doesn't think of it that way, but maybe. Who knows? He is one of Baba's own, apparently. He heard him. It's freaking loud. Talk about silence. Silence. It's the wine. No, music is the cup. Holds the wine of silence. So says Robert Fripp. An artwork I have by his hand. Picked up City Winery 2022, I think. And I went to see his talk with Dave Singleton, that awful man, and his manager. It was called, okay, we're going to go in the bakery and get my almond croissant. That's going to be cutting off point for this little episode of The Passing Show with your host, me, and onwards. Thanks for joining.